Good afternoon, everybody. Super Jackster1 here. Now, I'm back. It's been almost a month since I last made a video. This is kind of like this every September, though, because, I've just been busy. I'm now back starting my senior year of high school, so things have been busy. But now, I'm back for a DVD and 4K Blu-ray update for today, October 1st, 2019. I got a total of 2 items. I got one DVD and one 4K Blu-ray. The DVD I got at Walmart in North Kingstown, Rhode Island this past Saturday, and the 4K Blu-ray I got today at Best Buy in Warwick, Rhode Island. So we'll start with the DVD first. Like I said, got this at Walmart in North Rhode Island just back on Saturday, and this is actually a television DVD. Yep, this is Season 2 of 13 Reasons Why. The tapes were just the beginning, based on the best-selling mystery, although, really, since the show is kind of technically based on Jay Asher's 2007 book of the same name, but only Season 1 was based on the book. Seasons 2 and 3 are all based on original stuff. Like, it still has the same characters and everything. They just add stuff that was never in the book. It was like brand new storylines and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest here. I think this is probably the weakest season. I remember I really didn't like this season. I think that there wasn't really much. The character development that the characters had in season 1 was just completely forgotten. And probably one of the most unnecessary things was, and I'm just going to say this is a spoiler though, the sexual assault scene, what happened to the character Tyler in the final episode of this season. I felt like that scene was so unnecessary, not just because, and I understand, yes, they were showing male sexual assault and all that, which I understand that, and I like it that they were trying to do that. That's according to Brian Yorkie, the show's creator. He said that's the reason why the scene was included. But my problem with the scene was that I think it was used in the wrong episode, because before that scene, though, it seemed like it was going to be like the series finale. Like everybody was going to move on from Hannah. Hannah's parents were moving away. Clay is finally letting her go, but then the scene when Tyler happened, it kind of felt like it was just thrown in at the last minute. Like, how did they not make it feel like it seemed out of nowhere? Like, it was just like, okay, you know what? Let's do a controversial graphic scene. Then maybe I wouldn't have minded it. And the cliffhanger was like, But I did see Season 3, though, and Season 3 was a major improvement. I think it was probably even the best season so far. And Season 4 is currently in development, which is, and it's scheduled to come out sometime in 2020, which Season 4 will be the final season. And I finished this, as each season of the show goes on, I get it done quicker and quicker. Like, in Season 1, I watched the entire first season in 8 days. In this season, for Season 2, I watched the entire season in just 3 days. While Season 3, I watched it all in just 24 hours. I started it Saturday, the Season 2, this season, by the way, this season came out back on May 18th, 2018. I had finished it and I started it the very morning, and then I finished it by May 21st, that Monday afternoon. While Season 3, it came out August 23rd, and I started that morning, and I finished it the next morning. Yep. Anyway, I don't even know. I got this DVD because since I already had Season 1 on DVD, I thought, why not get Season 2? Here's the spine, the back. The truth will come out. Yep. And since it's a Paramount DVD, it's on Gray Disc. Here's Disc 1, which has episodes 1 through 3. Here's Disc 2 with episodes 4 through 7. Disc 3 with episodes 8 through 10. And Disc 4 with episodes 11 through 13. Yeah. I do think this is probably the weakest season, though, but Season 3 was a major improvement. All right, now this Blu-ray, this is a 4K Blu-ray. I got this today at Best Buy in Warwick, Rhode Island. This Blu-ray actually came out today. Yep, that is Spider-Man Far From Home. And this is the Best Buy exclusive Steelbook. And I got this version because I really didn't care for the covers for the other versions. Like the regular Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD version, I really didn't like the cover. Well, the 4K version was pretty decent, but I kind of liked this cover a lot better. Now, the movie itself, I loved Spider-Man Far From Home. I saw this in theaters at the Island Cinemas 10 in Newport, Rhode Island, back on opening day, July 2nd, 2019. That was my very first time ever visiting that movie theater. And this is so far the only movie that I've seen at that movie theater. It was a very nice theater with leather seats and all that. I'll definitely have to go back there in that theater. I'd always wanted to go to that theater, but I just never got around to it or didn't feel like going to it. So one day, on the day it came out, I decided to go the afternoon it came out, and I loved it. I actually did do a community post on this on YouTube. Yeah. But yeah, this was definitely a perfect follow-up, kind of like epilogue to Avengers Endgame. And we know this is the highest-grossing Spider-Man film, though, because worldwide, so far, it's made $1,130,838,626 at the worldwide box office, making it not only the highest-grossing Spider-Man film, but it also made it Sony Pictures' highest-grossing film of all time. And we all know the exciting news that Spider-Man is now back in the MCU, because we all know last month, back at the end of August, they announced that, excuse me, that Sony and Disney had... The thing is, though, like, you know, it's kind of hard to tell the story, like, you know, with Spider-Man, the rights thing. With Sony, I'll try and give you the skimmy, is how Spider-Man, the Spider-Man character and the movies and stuff are actually owned by Sony Pictures. And they made, like, you know, like, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, the Amazing Spider-Man series, and then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and they also made Venom. And they made a deal with Marvel Studios to have Spider-Man be entered into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they cast Tom Holland in the role, and the MCU version of Spider-Man, we know, he was introduced in Captain America Civil War, and then he got his own solo movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, and then he had then appeared in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and then he appeared in this movie, and I guess after this movie made a lot of coin, there was like some kind of problem with they couldn't work out the deal they were doing, so they split until this past Friday. They made a new deal, and they're eventually now Spider-Man will continue in the MCU, and he actually has a third solo movie coming out, which is scheduled to come out July 16th, 2021. Very excited about that. I knew they would work something out. I think we all knew. I learned this from the James Gunn situation, which, for those of you remember, back in July of last year, Disney fired James Gunn from directing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 due to somebody resurfaced old tweets he made that made jokes about rape and pedophile and all that. And they said they weren't going to rehire him at all. But then we all know this past March, just a little more than a month before Avengers Endgame came out, it was announced that James Gunn had been rehired, and he will be directing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He's going to be working on that after he finishes The Suicide Squad. So I knew something like this would happen with Spider-Man. Yeah, and this film, by the way, this film was directed by John Watt. Sorry, I got a little bit of a bad cough. This film was directed by John Watts, who was the director of Spider-Man Homecoming, and it is believed that he's most likely to direct the third Spider-Man movie. And if he is, then he will be the first MCU director to direct an entire MCU trilogy, since Guardians 3 won't be coming out for a while. But yeah, I really like this movie. I actually like this movie. A lot of us probably agree that this movie was better than Homecoming. One thing I gotta say, that Jake Gyllenhaal, his performance as Mysterio was top-notch. Mysterio was an awesome villain. I was very apprehensive of how they were going to portray him, though, because I remember if he was going to top a Vulture, because Vulture, he was the villain in Homecoming. He was such an awesome villain, so I didn't know if they were able to pull off Mysterio, and they did. The ending, though, the mid-credit scene, this is a spoiler, though. J.K. Simmons returns to reprise his role as J.J. Jameson, exposing Peter Parker's secret. So now the entire world knows he's Spider-Man. I'm kind of glad they did it, though, due to the fact that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he's the only MCU hero that hid his secret identity, but now he's not anymore. Yep. And I liked how Zendaya Coleman's character, MJ, was really developed, and she got a lot more screen time and everything. But the one thing I'm curious about is the romance between her and Peter. I just kind of think, like, Peter having a crush on MJ, like, where did that come from? Because we all know in Homecoming he didn't have a crush on her. In fact, in Homecoming, I don't even think they were even friends. It seemed like they were just acquaintances. So how did he suddenly have a crush on her? And there were a couple things I didn't like. Like, one was that I kind of wish they kind of talked more about Tony Stark's death. Like, you know, how it really impacted Peter during all this. I mean, yeah, he is mentioned a bunch of times and he sees, like, him everywhere. But I wish there was kind of more where he really personally talked about it. I mean, yes, there is a scene where he talks about it with Happy Hogan, but that's really about it. I kind of wish they really discussed more about it. And I'm not too crazy on them calling the snap, like, you know, the blip. I don't know, sorry. I feel like the snap is a much better deserved title. But anyway, I'm finally going to show you the spine. Back. Wildly entertaining story. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times. And we got over an hour. Special features includes all new short film, Peter's To-Do List, cast bloopers, deleted scenes, Blu-ray exclusive, stealthy Easter eggs, Far From Home, Suit Up, Fury and Hill, Thank You, Mrs. Parker, and much more. Yep. And by the way, for the new Spider-Man, the Spider-Man deal, I forgot to mention, since he appeared in those crossovers and everything, the thing is, the Spider-Man, for just distribution, the Spider-Man movies where Spider-Man is the main character, is like Homecoming in this film, those would be distributed by Sony Pictures under their Columbia Pictures banner. While the crossover films where he's not a main character, like Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, those would still be distributed by Disney, and Spider-Man could still appear. Yeah. No, I'm just good. And also, I loved Ned was still a funny character. He was just as funny as he was in Homecoming. And here's a better view of the spine and the back. And this is also the final film in Phase 3 of the MCU, and also the final film of the MCU Infinity Saga. Here we got the digital copy code. Here we got the disc. Here's the 4K Blu-ray disc, which you could see Peter Parker wearing the Iron Spider-Man suit, which he wore in which he wore in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and he wore it very briefly at the beginning of this film. And here's the regular Blu-ray disc, which has artwork of Peter Parker in the black Spider-Man suit, as known as the Night Monkey. That scene gets me cracks me up. Yeah, I'm glad I have this. This was definitely a perfect, great, really enjoyed this movie. I am looking forward to the third Spider-Man movie, because Spider-Man, he is one of my favorite superheroes, and Tom Holland nailed that role. And because of how this is the final film in the Infinity Saga, I'm going to show you that. As of now, I now have all 23 movies, all 323 movies in the MCU saga, Infinity Saga. And we're going to go all three phases. Starting with Phase 1 with Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, The Avengers. And then going into Phase 2 with Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, and finally Phase 3, the longest phase, Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. The entire MCU Infinity Saga of 23 fantastic superhero movies. Yep. Anyway, there you go. That's my DVD and 4K Blu-ray update for today, October 1st, 2019. I will see you all for my next video coming soon.